Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be a little bit more gloomy of a story. I will tell you what I had to sacrifice in order to be rich. What I had to sacrifice to be $250,000 at 25. I'm now 26. What I had to sacrifice in order to get there. And it feels good to say, to say I got a quarter mil easy at 25, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy journey. It was harder than I thought. And there are people who are doing better than me at 18, 19, 20, 21. Obviously, I went to college, and so that hindered my greatness, but it now helps in my pursuits. But I will say that, yes, it did take a lot of sacrifice. And what sacrifices I took, you're about to find out. But please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, as it truly helps this channel grow. Now, the first sacrifice that I had to make was to be away from family and friends. And that really started in college when I was all alone. As a transfer student, I was probably 20 years old or 19 when I decided to, I was 19 when I decided to go away to the University of Albany. And so that experience alone was a lot different because it was okay when you're away from your parents for a year for a few weeks or two. But when you know you're going to be away for 6, 7 months and you're not going to see someone, it was a lot different. It was a mind shift. It was a heart change. Everything kind of changed and stops. You'll know that feeling when you're away from your family for the first time for over 6 months. It is completely a different ball game. I felt that same feeling when I joined the Army, and we'll get into that soon. So then when I took a job and I moved to Ohio, I'm again leaving my family in the pursuit of money and the pursuit of success. Not thinking about it, not thinking about the consequences of my actions, only thinking about the possibilities and the opportunities that are available to me. When achieving this success, I purchased a car, purchased a property, not really thinking about what I was really thinking about when I bought my first property is that it costs less than rent. I was paying $1,200 a month in rent, and this was going to cost me significantly less. Because of this, I had to make a conscious decision that I would take the 3-bedroom house rather than the 2-bedroom apartment, which I didn't actually live in for more than a month. I'm okay with that because of the cash flow that I'm getting. But if I wasn't making as much cash flow, I'd probably be upset that I'm not living in such a beautiful home. Now, when I joined the Army, another sacrifice. I'm now leaving my main family as well as my uncles and aunts to live all on my own with people I don't know, singing and dancing and doing all the stuff that 18-year-olds do. And I'm this 22, 23-year-old responsible adult that has to listen to all these personalities late at night trying to cope with the fact that they're all away from home with no phones, no service, and just physical training. When I left the Army, it was back to Ohio. And so I'm still away from my immediate family. And I'm not really on talking terms with my family in Ohio. And therefore, I'm just grinding. I'm just working. During this time, before the Army and after, I was working 6 to 7 days a week for restaurants as a general manager. This didn't allow me to have time for relationships. So I actually formed some bad relationships along the way. On top of that, I had no time to myself, so I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't going out. Before the Army, I was overweight because all I would do is eat the food at the job, which was fast food. And then the training that I would do was a few push-ups a day, and then maybe a few walks. But I was never truly training intensely, and I was eating whatever I wanted. So I would go in my fridge, I would get key lime pie to celebrate a long day's work. I would do whatever it is that I wanted. I would eat macaroni and cheese with pulled pork, whatever it is that I wanted to do. And I was eating this at 1 a.m. in the morning, 2 a.m. in the morning, because I would get off work so late, and then I would have to be right back at work. And so Even though I was working out, even though I was working a lot, I was eating extremely late. And just like when I was a manager at Blaze Pizza, I was also a closing manager at Amazon. And so I would be getting home at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. And so this contributed to a lifestyle of where I was always eating at like 7 a.m. in the morning right before I would go to bed. This was not good for me. When I left the Army, I built new habits. I understood what it meant to be full. I never knew that being full didn't mean food touching your stomach, because when I grew up in an African household, it was to eat everything on your plate and my stomach would always fill the food. Okay. So I didn't really know what it was to be an actual human being that just ate a decent amount of food and went about their life. All I knew was one way of eating, and I had to relearn how to eat for real. I had to relearn what being full looked like. And this was a mind change for me. This was really a different, completely different experience for me. And I'm so grateful for that, because I probably would have been eating like a pig my entire life had I not joined the Army. I would have never known what the difference was, and I would have never known what portion control truly looked like. And then the sacrifices there in itself, we've already spoken a little bit on that. But then the sacrifices I made to get my second house was, again, restaurant industry, 6 days a week, no time, body hurting, always in pain. And that's what contributed, again, to the disability claims that I then got with the VA. After putting my body through such rigorous strain, all this stress, and 3 years of not speaking to family, friends, or even having a decent relationship, I finally decided that I was going to retire. I finally decided that now with all my investments, now with all my rents, now with 2 roommates, now with the disability income, now with all this income coming in, I was making upwards, without working, probably $5,000 a month. And so this is not including my compound interest in the stock market. This is not including my savings account interest. This is not including any of those things. And so with the $5,000 that I make in a month, it was like, one, on top of that, I'm still getting principal pay down on the 2 houses. So I'm really making more than $5,000 a month. It was time for me to step away from the restaurant industry, time for me to step away from work entirely and just focus on living. I tried that and it didn't work. I needed to work, but I knew that I couldn't continue to do what I was doing. And so I then took a job, which I'm at now, that allowed for work-life balance, that allowed for me to have the weekends off. So I spent some of that with family. Then I actually started to build relationships. Now that I had stability in my life, now that I have a property that I am staying at, now that I'm no longer going to the Army, and now that I'm not thinking about going to Texas for investment purposes and gaining in that principal income with the properties, I was now able to focus on relationships as well. I was now able to invite my family over for the 4th of July. I was now able to do certain things that I've never really been able to do. I'm now able to speak to my sister more. I'm now able to speak to my brothers and play video games with them whenever I get the free time. This is completely different from how I lived the last couple of years. When I was in college and I was working so much for the last 4 years to not be in debt, I didn't take any relationship seriously. I knew that these women only saw the promise that I had, but they didn't necessarily see me for me. They only saw my hard work. And to be honest, that's all I had. All I had was hard work and determination to not be in debt. I didn't have love and care for anyone else but myself and my immediate family. And so I really had nothing to give. And I knew I wouldn't stay in Albany, New York. So I also knew that there was no one that I was going to take seriously. Because of this, there was really no reason to have a relationship in college. And then when I moved to Ohio before having a property, there was really no reason to take a relationship seriously then, because there was always the thought that I would move back to New York as well. So I basically had about 5 years in which I didn't even really take a relationship seriously. And when I went to the army, I also didn't take relationships seriously. So it wasn't until about year 7, from 18 to now, to where I'm actually able to sit back and say, okay, I can start to take relationships more seriously, start to look for what I believe will be the best fit for me in my life. Um, Now that I'm locked in to where I will be physically, it makes more sense. So again, those are the struggles that came with me getting to where I'm at, to be at 250,000 by 25 years of age, and to be growing that now at 26, and to be growing that even further into 2024. It took a lot of sacrifice. A lot of sacrifice that people are not willing to make. A lot of sacrifice to not take shortcuts, not go into debt, not to take out easy loans that would have paid for my life. When everybody was taking out those government assistance loans or the unemployment loans, they were making the same as I was as an area manager in Amazon. But what did I do? I stayed at my job. I continued to work it. I didn't take any shortcuts. I didn't take any days off, even though I had so much PTO. Um, I just stayed. I just kept working. My boss had to tell me to start taking days off. But when my car broke down and I needed the days off, I was able to then utilize that for an emergency purpose. Um, all these things come into play. All these things work out in my favor because I just worked so hard that I was then able to have a job when I really needed it, and focus on my car being fixed. So I mean, when you don't take shortcuts, when you're not only thinking about your own joy and pleasure, it'll work out for you, and you will eventually get to where you're going. It takes a lot of hard work that, again, a lot of people are not willing to do. So if you're in debt right now and you're like, man, it would take me 2 years to get out of this, and that's typically the time frame that it takes to get out of a lot of debt, work, work it. You're going into 2024. If you had started last year, you would be done by the end of 2024. When are you going to stop holding on to such burdens? Release yourself. Go after it. Lock in. Stop thinking about relationships. Stop thinking about everybody else. Learn how to sacrifice now so that you can live a life worth living in the future. I no longer have to sacrifice like that. And I will not sacrifice like that ever again, because I just don't have to. And I will not ever have to. And so I am so proud of myself for what I was able to do and what I was able to accomplish. I know that I may smile all the time and act like such a big shot. And to be honest with you, I am a big shot. I worked hard to be a big shot. I worked hard to be able to give you real life experiences on how to be rich, how to be wealthy, and how to get out of a situation that is not meant for you. If you're watching this channel, it's because you're not supposed to be broke. You're not supposed to be unstable. And I'm trying to help you get there. And this is all motivation. It's not to downplay anyone. It's not to tell you that you're not doing enough. You're doing absolutely enough to start getting out of debt, to start saving for those emergencies, to start investing. And please don't be one of those people who invest, but you're in debt and you don't have no emergency fund, because the first thing you're going to do when you need money is take out all your investments. Investments are for people who don't need the money. Let me say it one more time. Investments are for people who don't need the money. I have never pulled out any of my investments outside of when I bought my first property when I was 21. Investments are not to be pulled out. That's money that you don't need invested in order to make you wealthy. So if you like this video, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You know I post every single day at 8 a.m. daily on YouTube and on Rumble. And I can't wait to see you on the next one. Peace.